Welcome back, everybody. This is your boy Nylock Get Money, and we are going over the road to 100K portfolio today. We got a fun one today, so let's just get right into it. So first, we'll start off with how much we added and what we added it into. So obviously, we've been trying to max out the Roth first before we start going into the Robinhood. So all of these purchases have been into the Roth. We first bought $100 into VU, then we had $200 in the Qs, and then I had a $190 purchase into Google, which make a mental note of that. It'll come in handy later. So we only got $490 into the Roth this month, which is a little under what I want. But however, I kind of wanted to save up the last $500 for next month because that will be the complete maxed out, actually. So quick round of applause for myself because I am very proud of accomplishing my goal, which we will definitely get done next month. And then after that, it'll be all money into the Robinhood, which is, a little bit more fun money and a little bit more higher risk, high reward. But real quick, I wanted to go over more into the Roth. So basically, I wanted to let you guys know I sold completely out of Tesla, which it was in my Roth. I feel like it served me better more into the Robinhood than it is in my Roth. I still think Tesla has some growing to do. However, for my own portfolio into the Roth, I wanted to be more concentrated into ETFs and, more of the Mag 7 that I feel comfortable with. Again, I could see Tesla running up another 100%, and could possibly be missing out big time on that company. But I'm still exposed to it in those ETFs, and we're going to be buying probably more into the actual Robinhood itself. So again, I wanted to just centralize, concentrate those positions in my Roth that I'm more comfortable with for the long term. And I see my positions better now than they were with Tesla in the Robinhood. I'm sorry, in the Roth. I'm also doing that with Blackstone. I still think it's a good company. I like the private equity sector. However, again, I just don't see it really helping my Roth at the moment. Again, I'd rather just have that money in the Qs or into the VU. With that being said, Blackstone and Tesla, I definitely will be purchasing in Robinhood. I already have. So those positions will probably stay in there. But however, in the Roth, again, I want to be more direct. I want to know my companies. I want to have only companies I see myself holding for 20 plus years, kind of. You know what I mean? So doesn't mean I won't trim certain stocks once we get to retirement age and start going into more dividend paying ETFs and stuff like that. But again, just for myself, for my sanity, the Roth is now looking more like how I want it to be. So real quick, we will go over the Roth. So we deposited $490. That brings the total deposit to $22,000, which makes sense. It's a nice round number. That means I've been adding it up correctly, which is really good news because I was a little freaked out when I first started making this spreadsheet. But nonetheless, we've got it looking good. So from June to July, we made about a 3.8% gain, which is about $1,000 in gains, which is awesome. And the portfolio value sits at $28,372.44. So looking pretty good there. Always nice to see green in the Roth. Now, if we want to go over kind of specific things, Amazon and Microsoft had a pretty good earnings and they bumped up pretty high. Again, that $500 purchase I made of Microsoft when it was kind of dipping, starting to show its dividends early. So again, it went up like 15% since then. I still see it growing over the long term. So that's just a good start. You know what I mean? So we're really happy to see that though. Again, once you kind of see your convictions play out the way you want them to, that's when investing gets addicting. That's when you're really trying to put more and more money in. Because again, imagine if I put $5,000 into that. But again, we're not going to think of it like that. Again, we're growing this Roth for the retirement for long term, and we're just happy to see Amazon and Microsoft performing so well. All right, next let's go over Robinhood. We haven't, again, invested in any more money. We're still trying to max out the Roth before we do that, but I will go over some different plays that we have made in the Robinhood. $0 deposits. We still have total deposits at $7,500 basically, but it's been up since June, about $951, which is about a 6% gain. And the total portfolio value is sitting at $16,210.32. I will be honest, it was pretty much down a little bit before we made the big leap, pun intended, leap option call with Google. So we can kind of go over the Google option real quick. We bought a $330 strike price Google call option. We bought it at $36 even. So that makes it a $3,600 position. You do 36 times 100. And it had already grown up to about 56 at the time of recording this video. Cool to see that start to play off. But again, I know I said in the past that I don't want to be doing too many options in this portfolio. However, times change. It's also scared money doesn't make money. I still think I have made more money in just holding positions than I have actually trading options. However, if I see good setups for myself and in companies that I trust and I believe in, I will take a risk. I will take a calculated risk in those options. I will use leverage to exponentiate my gains. Use a lot of buzzwords there. I'm gonna be real. That was just to sound smart. But to shout out Babytron.
Sometimes the win you gotta gamble, pussy roll the dice.
This Google option is not more than 10% of my whole portfolio. Obviously, it is about, I think it was like 20 or 30% of my Robinhood account, which is obviously bad for that account directly. However, in the grand scheme of things, again, we have our foundation built in the Roth that we feel comfortable taking this leap option, taking this leap jump, and taking a risk. Again, this money that I have, if Google somehow went to zero or it doesn't meet the strike price at expiration, it would hurt to lose that money for sure, but I won't be on the streets. So that's when it comes to options. You don't want to be putting all of your eggs in one basket. You don't want to put all of your equity into one trade, into one option, because that's where people get hurt. That's where Wall Street bets exist. And we're not doing that. We're just trying to take a calculated... Sorry, I had a timer going off for my food. We're just taking calculated risk at this price and at this action. Again, I do not recommend doing options if you are new and you don't have a very big foundation built yet. I want to quickly shout out In the Money. He was the first person I kind of watched to understand options and see how they work and kind of get my own strategy built around them. I think they're less riskier this way, and I have had very good success in the past with these leaps. So again, I'll link that video down below. But as for myself, I believe in Google. I think it's probably the biggest company in the world to me. They just have so many things going. They have a pretty big moat. They have their hands in everything. And I feel like they're the most advanced company in my opinion. It's already a Mag 7 company, so me saying it's one of the best companies in the world is not really a hot take. But I do think out of the Mag 7, I think it's probably number one. Maybe Amazon or Apple. But I think Google is just more innovative in the sense of Google has YouTube, Google Sheets, Google Drive, all these things. Again, the 80% Google Drive increase was insane. Again, it's one of those things. I heard the earnings call. It was phenomenal in my eyes. The CapEx expenditure was scary, but I believe in them. I trust them to do what they're doing. And even if it doesn't work, they'll print money regardless, right? So that was my kind of take on everything. Again, the stock dropped. I saw that as a buying opportunity, bought. It's already paying dividends. So I'm not saying this is going to work out in the long run, but I am saying right now that was the idea behind it. Again, before you do any options, I definitely recommend looking up Leaps by In the Money. Watch that video, check it out before you start doing anything crazy. But yeah, we are feeling good about it so far. Next, we'll go over Coinbase, which is the crypto, and not a lot is going on there. I'm gonna be so real, but we'll talk about it real quick. So we had 0 deposits this month. So we're still at 2,200 in total deposits. We lost about $60, which is only 1% decrease, which obviously crypto has been down this year, the past year. A lot more people are skeptical, I assume. However, I still think, as you can see from my total return, it's still one of my better performing positions. So I'm still gonna be holding. I might be adding more Bitcoin this month, but for last month, no additions, and it is sitting at a $4,130.56. So the total portfolio sits now at $48,713.32. That is a total gain of about $2,000 in a month, and there's our total deposits with the total gain and total return. So what are we looking at moving forward? So obviously we're keeping a very close eye on Google. We have a lot of eggs in that basket. However, I trust Google. I think they're one of the best companies in the world. They have so much going on. They got a lot of moat. No one's really messing with YouTube. They have their hands in everything. And again, I think they're just one of the best tech companies in the world. I also want to let you guys know that on Robinhood, I sold all my positions and then rebought. And the reason I did that is so I can kind of more closely see my returns for these companies. And the reason I did that is make it a hard reset so I know exactly where I was buying and how much I've made since then. I think the biggest thing I could tell you guys right now, we've been doing this road to 100K challenge now. And the most thing I can learn from doing this and just investing and just kind of looking back, seeing what I've learned, the biggest thing I could tell you guys is buy and hold. The more you trade, the less money you'll make. And I promise you, I'm not just saying that because it sounds right. I'm telling you from experience. When I invested in Tesla, that was back in 2020. When I invested in Nvidia, that was in 2021. I do not have the gains that I should from those companies. Even if I never bought again, I think I would have made more money holding than I would have trimming it, selling out of, waiting for it to go down, buying a little bit more, waiting for it to go down. Oh, it went down more. So, you know what I mean? So what I can tell you guys now is if you have high conviction on a company, even if it's a short term, I need you to hold it for at least a year. if it's short term, right? Google, Meta, Microsoft, the VU, QQQ, these are long-term holdings for me. I should be holding these for at least 7 years. Now, 7 years sounds daunting. That sounds like a lot. That sounds like too many years. What are we doing? But the years are going to fly by anyway. You are going to be 7 years older in 7 years. Would you rather have held Microsoft for 7 years, or would you have rather been trading, trying to find the perfect entry point and then trim it up when it got to like 60%, 30%, and then you lose out on 900%? Because again, like my NVIDIA position, I was in NVIDIA before 2022, changing brokerages, selling, forgetting to rebuy back in at a certain price, or just rebuy backing it all. Completely killed my gains. So this episode, guys, I want you guys to take from this episode is calculated risk is fine with options. Just make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you have that foundation built first, and then don't sell. Please don't sell. Just hold for the long term, and then just add more over time. My problem was I was trying to turn $7,000 into Robinhood. As you can see, that's what it was basically at. I'm trying to turn $7,000 into Robinhood into like 100K. That's not realistic. What would have been more realistic is starting at 7,000 and consistently adding into positions that I liked long term instead of buying and selling them all the time. So again, buy and hold, guys. Find different stocks for different things for if that's what you want. Again, if you like SoFi, if you like Robinhood, if you like higher, riskier growth companies, that's fine. Still hold them for at least a year. I need you to hold it for at least a year. Your long-term holdings, I need you to hold for at least 5 to 10 years. You're going to make way more money. You're going to be in a way better position than me. If you're younger than me and you hold for longer than me, you're going to make way more money than I did at my age. So that's my biggest regret looking back, is just buying and selling too often. But again, that's why you learn. That's why we measure. I think it was why I learned. You cannot improve what you don't measure. And if you're not measuring your investments, you're not measuring your net worth, how are you supposed to improve it? So with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the Call of Duty Black Ops 1 gameplay in the background while we talk about stocks and investing and this journey we're on, because this is a we thing. This is not just me. This is a we thing. I'm doing this with us, with you specifically, James. If your name is James and you watch this video, please leave a like. All right, guys, thanks for watching. You guys have a good one. Peace.